All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Conversations from Home. I am Laura Cross, and I am a team builder with Surge 365 out of Peyton, Colorado. And we have with us Rick and Brenda Reese out of Colorado Springs, and Mariano Nandine from Colorado Springs as well. So, we wanted to touch on a different subject because we know travel is opening up right now, and some people are not necessarily comfortable with traveling far away and they're staying close. As a matter of fact, the stats right now are showing that 53% of Americans are planning on taking a summer road trip. A lot of people, when they think vacations, they just think, oh, you got to fly somewhere or take a cruise or go somewhere exotic. But, it's also a good old fashioned road trip. And I'll tell you, if you are one of those road tripping people, Search 365 definitely can benefit you as well. And I know Mariano has got, some stories to share with us because I know he does road trips. Rick and Brenda, we've all done road trips. I probably do them more than anybody because any surge event that we have, if it's within 17 hours, I'll drive it. So Mariano, you want to share one of your experiences with us and how surge has helped you?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Laura. And one of the things that I love about our tools is that they're dynamic or real time. Meaning that, let me explain to you. One time I went to Florida. My wife and I were going to visit our son and his family. And because we were hauling a trailer with some stuff for him, in fact, we were delivering vehicles to them. So we really weren't sure how long we were going to drive each day or where we were going to stop, because it was all weather dependent and how we felt, as far as driving that particular day for that trip. Because it was a pretty lengthy trip anyway. And we knew that we weren't going to, we weren't in a rush, thankfully. We had our own timeline. So it allowed us to be a lot more flexible about, how far we drove. And basically we just stopped when we were tired. So the beauty of having our tools is that, I remember sitting in the parking lot of one of the hotels that we decided to stay one night, pulled up the app, booked a hotel room, and went inside and showed them our reservation, and we were done. So we did that a couple of times simply because on our way down to Florida, my wife remembered that she had some relatives down in Louisiana that she hadn't seen or we tried to just find out where some of the grave sites were. So we thought, well, why not? We're here. So we took kind of a detour and found some interesting information while we were on the way. But again, because we really hadn't planned that in a lot of detail, we, saw a hotel we wanted to stay at and we just pulled it up on the app and, there we are. So that's one of the benefits of having our tools is that you can you can plan ahead if you want, but if you don't have a specific timeline or an itinerary and you don't know where you're going to end up, you can always book it when you're in the parking lot of the hotel you want to stay at. One of the other things that I want to share with you is especially in today's environment, we have a couple of tools that you really need to be familiar with or start getting familiar with. And that's the CDC site that talks to us about the coronavirus and what areas are impacted. And that one's going to be primarily for like international, but it has those local stuff as well. And then the State Department site, to again give you some information about events or things that might have a detriment on where you want to go. One of the other things I want to share with is if you are military, okay, and if you have those benefits, I know that we try to take advantage of those as well, because we kind of map out our routes so that we can kind of be close to military installations and maybe stay at one of those locations if it fits where we're going. But again, having our tools is a great option in the event that the availability isn't there at the military installation. So aside from that, there's always the activities part about our tool is important because we knew that when we got to Florida, we were going to go see some things with our son and his family. And so some of the amusement parks and things of that nature that were in that area, we got some discount tickets for that as well. So that's one of the trips that we took. Have some similar, examples with, in fact, we went on another Florida trip and I used the reward credits that we had generated and earned to rent a car when we flew down one time. And that was really cool because, again, I had to pay the taxes and fees, but as far as the cost of the rental car, I used reward credits, and that was a great money saver there. So other than that, that's really what I want to share for right now. So Laura, I'll had to give it back to you because I know you got some pretty cool trips that you took.
Yeah, like I said, I love to drive, so I've driven a lot of places. I've racked up a lot of mileage on my car, but that's don't mind. My fiance Dakota, they nicknamed him Dakota because he's from North Dakota, and so every year we drive up to North Dakota to go see his dad and visit with family. We stay for about a week, and so normally we drive straight through, going up there because we're trying to use as few vacation days, as possible from Dakota. So he normally works all day. We leave at night after he gets off. He drives till he gets tired. I take over. But we go up there, and so we drive straight through. But on the way back, I always made a stop in South Dakota. I love to gamble. You got Deadwood there. So we used to always stop in Deadwood all the time and stay at Cadillac Jack's. It's one of my favorite. And we went and took our time and, saw the Wild Bill Hickok and those grave sites, saw everything there had to be there. Last time, or a couple years ago, we were coming back and we decided I wanted to see something different. I mean, we've both seen Mount Rushmore. We had both, been through Deadwood multiple times, but neither one of us had ever seen Crazy Horse. So we thought we would have a new and different experience, right? So here I am. I'm thinking Black Hills, South Dakota, because it's in the Black Hills. And when we were in North Dakota, we decided we were going to go there. And there was this place called the Bavarian Inn. So here I am on my mobile app, pulling it up, trying to find Bavarian Inn for Black Hills, South Dakota is what I put in. And it kept telling me it couldn't find it. Well, we have the concierge. So I went ahead and started a live chat with the concierge and told him I was looking for the Bavarian Inn because I know on TripAdvisor it had 4 stars to it. It gives you a pancake breakfast every morning. And we were going to spend a couple nights there before we came back. So, so I made that risk. So they had to find it. Well, first of all, I found out that's Custer, South Dakota. It is in the Black Hills, but you have to actually put in Custer. I just was using the wrong city. They put it together for me. All I had to do was pay for it, and it was all set to go. So anyway, when we did leave, we came back, and we were bringing his 1950 Chevy truck back on a trailer. We were pulling it with our truck, or with my truck. And so when we came back, all of a sudden, the truck started acting up. We broke down in the middle of nowhere. And due to other apps and USAA, they found us and got us hooked up, several hours later. But we had to get towed. We were 80 miles north of Belle Fourche, South Dakota. And if you don't know, Belle Fourche is actually the geo center of all 50 United States. I mean, we've always seen the museum and the park because we always drove through there, but we had never stopped. So, we pulled in that night, and it was late that night. So the very first night, I didn't use my app. I just went right to America Inn because I know their walls are insulated. I know they're nice hotels. We went in there. They had a room available. I booked it. But we were starving because we had been stranded for over 5 hours and it was cold. They dropped everything off at the dealership. They dropped us off there. The owners of the hotel said, "Oh, there's one place that's open. You still got about 30 minutes before they close. You can get down there." I said, "Well, we don't have a vehicle." And he says, "Oh no, my truck's out front. It's right there on the end. The keys are in it. Just take my truck." Okay, not used to that from around here, but in Belle Fourche, you can do that. So we went down, we got dinner, we came back. And then the second night, we needed a second night because the dealership didn't, opened. And then they finally took them all day to find the problem. Wasn't going to be ready yet. So we had to stay another night. So pulled up my app, pulled up the hotel, and I used my reward credits. So I wasn't going to be out more cash that I wasn't planning on. So I used my reward credits to book the hotel room again. And at that point, the couple told us, "Well, there's a band that's staying here. We help support them. They're having a show. Take our truck again. We'll get you free tickets for the show." They got us free tickets for the show. They gave us their truck to go to dinner. We brought it back. I mean, it was just fantastic especially for the situation. It really helped. And then Saturday, my truck was supposed to be fixed. We start heading out of town. Truck honks out, same problem. I got to get towed back to the dealership. But now American, the one place that I love, was booked solid. And so I had to go to the Econo Lodge. But again, I pulled up the gap and I went ahead and I booked it. And so we had to stay one night in the Econo Lodge, or 2 nights in the Econo Lodge. And then by the time, because dealerships closed Sunday, now I'm on Monday. So we got stranded in Belle Fourche for 5 days. That's a lot of unexpected expenses, let me tell you. But I didn't have to pay for the hotels because I was doing everything through my app, and everybody was great. And of course, I love our TaxBot. So TaxBot is tracking me the whole time. I've got all my receipts going in for my expenses because it's still all a business expense. It's just, cost of living, trying to get home. And so by Sunday night, we were able to get back into the American. And by Monday, we finally, I said, okay, the truck was ready on actually Monday night. The truck was finally ready, but it was late in the afternoon. I don't want to do a 7-hour drive home driving the vehicle. Dakota wasn't going to be driving. He was still recovering from a motorcycle crash. So I'm the one doing all the driving. So we stayed one more night. And we left Tuesday morning and we got home. So, it gave us time to see the town. By the time, the truck was there and they didn't fix it right, the dealership gave us a car to go ride around in. And they told us if we had to, we could drive all the way home. And then when they were done with the truck, come back. But I didn't see the sense in making a 7-hour drive to go home so he could half go to work. So we just called and said, hey, call us. We're out here. So it was unexpected. It was quite the adventure. Between the tow and the repairs, could have paid for another exotic cruise, but we had the tools, and the tools came in very handy. And like I said, it was a business expense. So it definitely, Surge 365 can definitely help you even if you're road tripping. And I know Brenda has some experiences too that she would like to share.
Yeah, that is so true, Laura. Enjoyed the story. It's interesting what happens when you're on a road trip. And we know that a lot of people are getting ready to start road trips because, people are kind of leery right now about getting on a crowded airplane or just being around a lot of folks. And so that's why I love my membership, because even if you don't want to put the mileage on your own vehicle, you can rent from your membership. And of course, limited miles is what everybody loves. And then you could also rent something bigger than what you normally drive. So you can have room if you're taking the kids, or if you're going along with another couple or another family, you can have space. And you just want to be mindful of what's going on. What I love about our Surge 365 app, we have the concierge that can pretty much map out the trip for you. You can call ahead and find out what restaurants are open, what restaurants are doing dine-in versus carry-out. And you can also, on your membership website, rent a week stay, at a place, and all of it's right there for you. You can do the homes if you don't want to go into a hotel right now. And that's what I love about our membership. You can also go on there and do some shopping if you want to get some extra things that you normally would not carry with you when you did a road trip. Because of the pandemic, everybody is, trying to be really conscious of bacteria and everything. So know where you're going to stop and pick up food, and keep your wipes handy, keep your gloves handy, keep your mask handy, because while you're on the road, you don't know what facility will require it. So you want to have a few of those things on hand while you're traveling, and just be mindful to the fact that a lot of things when you normally would travel are probably closed, and you don't want to get stranded. So that's what's so great about the concierge. You're able to map it all out with them, so there's no surprises, and you can kind of stay at a hotel if you want. I love the weekly stays. And also what was interesting, Rick and I, we took a pretty much summer-long 2 months road trip, and we were able to stop at Starbucks. And Starbucks had the Wi-Fi, so we were able to get on the internet and work our business, do presentations. So that's what's so great about having your own home-based business, Surge 365. It just allows you to do so much more. And you can design what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it. And when you're on the road, pack up a few groceries so you'll have some things to munch on, just in case you do hit a serious long few hours where there's nothing open. You got your munchies right there and your drink right there, so you can keep rolling. But it's going to be fun. People will be getting out this summer and doing more road trips, doing more camping. We were in the store yesterday. All the camping supplies are out, all the lamps, all the coolers. You could imagine whatever you need for camping. It is definitely out in the stores right now, because that's a pretty big deal out here in Colorado. A lot of people do. And then vamping. I'm more of a vamping girl, you know what I mean? So a lot of people do that too. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Folks are still going to get out, maybe not flying, but they are going to do a lot of road trips. And you want to make sure you're prepared while you're out. So Rick's going to share with us now.
This is a time to actually discover what's around you. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only time we used to go out and visit different attractions is when we had visitors in town.
Yeah.
And they would say, hey, can we go here? I'm like, oh yeah, that's there. But Laura, you just remind me, the best laid plans of mice and men. When you think you have it all planned out. And I'm the kind of guy that, and I know many of you are too, that will plan out a road trip in detail. And we'll go online. There's a lot of Google research that you can do to plan out from end to end, the mileage, the gas. I have everything laid out. And then the unexpected. And so we were coming back from Vegas, and you reminded me there, Laura. And so we're 300 miles from home, just outside of Mesquite, Nevada, and something happens with the engine. And so we had to take it in, and it all worked out good. But we weren't planning on staying in Mesquite. And so we stayed at a hotel casino, and one of the guys at Big Old Tires gave us a ride there, and it was storming and raining. And, I was actually sitting in the van and saying, man, if I could just sit here until I die if I don't do something. So I got up, went in Big Old Tire where we had towed the car, and he drove us to one of the hotel casinos. And so I said, well, let's stay here, Brenda, until we find out what to do. And, of course, we've got the membership. And so we go in, and we have all our luggage. It's all soaking wet. We pull it in. And I sit down at one of the slot machines before walking up to the desk. And I'm sitting there, and I pull out my laptop. Could have pulled out my smartphone. And I pull up the hotel casino, and I book it through the membership. I book it through the membership. $23 a night. Mm-hmm. After I booked it, paid for it, walked up to the counter and told the lady who we were. She says, I see you guys already booked. We sure have. And so we don't know what's going to happen. But it is, I'm telling you, so nice to have that membership. Like you were saying, Laura, being able to call a concierge when you're out in the middle of nowhere and they can book something for you. They can even do cancellations for you. And they'll do travel research for you. And so a couple of months later, we went on a serious road trip, the 2-month road trip. And again, I mapped it out. We had to go to St. Louis from Colorado Springs. We had St. Louis. We stopped in Tennessee. We had to go down to Florida, Destin, Florida. And then we had to come back to Charleston, and then a trip across the United States, Memphis, Oklahoma, and then New Mexico. And so we used to stay like you, Mariano. We stayed in military bases. So I planned this whole trip. I said, okay, here's a military base. Every 6 hours, we don't drive more than 6 hours. And every 6 hours, we find a military base close. We'd stay there. And on our way to New Mexico, booked up. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? What do? We pull out the membership, and we find the Marriott Residence Inn and pay $74 and save $162. Mm-hmm. And so when you have those unexpected things that will happen, you've got your membership. And there's something else that Brenda mentioned, being able to have a business. Mm-hmm. And being able to work the business. We did the 2-month road trip. And so, of course, we're stopping at Starbucks, and we're getting online, and we're on the internet, and we're getting checks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that amazing that you can actually earn money during this pandemic? Mm-hmm. You can earn money on that road trip. but about 53% of Americans this summer will be taking a road trip. And so it's just good to have the membership. It's good to have the travel agency. And we were just talking about this earlier. With that travel agency, you can figure out, okay, if I'm going to be going to Oklahoma, what can I do in Oklahoma? By the way, I actually did that and in the Trail of Tears. And they had an exhibit in Oklahoma. And always be open if you're on a road trip to see what's around you. And on the highway, not to kind of pull Brenda over, I saw a Trail of Tears. I said, hey, Brenda, let's go see what that's all about in Oklahoma. And we did. And I'll tell you what, it brought tears to my eyes. Back to you, Logan.
Yeah, and I'm kind of, glad that Brenda, brought that up because, bed and breakfasts have always been kind of big. Then Airbnbs were getting big, and now renting people's homes and stuff like that was big. But glamping, and that is glamping. You look it up. I mean, it is glamorous and camping together. They have some really cool facilities. Some of it's a large teepee. There's places where you can stay in a large tequila barrel or a tree house, chuck wagons, you name it. And you would think that, wow, this is small, but when you go inside, it looks just like your hotel room with this luxurious bed and the electricity, the facilities. So it's kind of like got the whole camping feel, but your butt's not on the ground. You still have all the luxuries of a hotel with people that'll take care of your room and everything. It is the new big wave. There is a lot of glamping sites that are being built and are popping up now too. So those are pretty neat if you want a new, different kind of experience.
No bugs.
No bugs.
One of the other things I wanted to reemphasize, and Brenda talked about this a little bit, as far as unlimited miles on rental cars. Folks, one of the things that you really need to consider seriously is when you look at the price of a rental car, especially on our site, you're going to get at least a 30% discount or more. When you look at putting all those miles on a vehicle, why would you want to do that on yours when you can do it on somebody else's? And especially if you're thinking about, buying another vehicle anyway, this is a great opportunity for you to check out a vehicle that you're thinking about buying to see if it fits around you and see if you like the way that it handles or how it drives, whether it supports what it is you want to do. And that's one of the other, benefits of having our site and having our tools, is that you can use it for that purpose and you can check things out. I mean, even if you're sitting at home and you just want to take a day trip, you can rent a car that maybe you're thinking about buying and take a short road trip. And especially here in Colorado, where we've got so many beautiful things to see. And, within a couple of hours, of where we're at, you can be up in the mountains and see some beautiful stuff. Or if you want to go another, 5 or 6 hours, the states around us have some beautiful things to offer. So we really encourage you to think seriously about renting a vehicle rather than putting the wear and tear on your own. Because the other cool part about it is if that vehicle you're driving breaks, the rental company is going to take care of another one for you. That's right. So you don't have to worry about those headaches. But anyway, I just want to mention that since we had a couple of minutes.
That is true. But if you have a rolling billboard like I do, my car is wrapped in sandals and beaches. I have wedding moons on the hood and I get my wind therapy. It's a business vehicle anyway, so I'm good with racking up miles, and if it happens, it happens, but I'm going to write the mileage off for a business expense anyway.
Laura, that is so true. It is a business expense, and a lot of people have campers. And with the tax bot, you're tracking your mileage. Yeah. And you're paying for even just staying at the camping site. That's a business expense. And if you're traveling with a lot of kids and you have to get some supplies from Walmart, you actually can go to Walmart through the shopping site and buy those supplies and go in and pick them up. And so it's just having those options. And even if you've got kids, and a lot of people are traveling with kids, and with the activities, and you mentioned this, Mariano, you can put in that state or that city, and all the tickets and all the different attractions will come up, and you can buy those tickets right there on your own site. And that's also a business expense. You can get those discount tickets. And so it's just having access to tools. That's one of the things I just love, that there's no quotas. You're not forced to do anything, but you actually have a travel agency. You have a wholesale club membership. you have that 7-night vacation, and a lot of us are on like month 5. So with the 7-night rewards trip, where just by being a member, we get a serious vacation that's worth several $1,000s, and that can be a staycation. It doesn't have to be something exotic, but I would want to use it for something exotic. But depending on where you're at, you can use it for something local. And it's just having access to an industry, I think, that excites me most.
Yeah, well, I was all set to drive to Maryland when we went up there to Baltimore for our, 5-year celebration. And it's a 24-hour drive from here, but we were going to stay halfway in St. Louis, where I have some friends and business partners, and visit and go. But when we had came back from spring training from Orlando right before that, we had the snowstorm. And when we were in Chicago, they were asking 6 people to stay back and give up their seats. And they started at like, well, we'll give you like $700 or $600 is what they started with to stay back. And, Cindy's saying, well, yeah, let's go. I said, oh, I want to go home. Let's go home. And within less than 5 minutes, they went from $600 to $900 to $2,000 travel voucher. If you want, okay, we'll stay. I only had a business meeting, which I can do from the phone or reschedule. So it's like, so we had the travel voucher. We had the vouchers for the food. They put us up in the hotel there that night, and we flew home the next day. So now I have a wonderful, huge voucher. And so we used it to fly out to Baltimore, but we rented the car. And, Cindy's from Maryland anyway. And so I got to see Washington, D.C. And we went out for a week. We went out ahead of time. So we spent time driving around and seeing all kinds of places, because I was born on the East Coast, but I've never really seen anything there because we were gone. I've been in Colorado from 2nd grade on up. So I got to actually enjoy some of the East Coast.
Do you listen to music on your road trips? Or
Yes.
What do you use to keep yourself occupied awake?
That is another reason why I like my own vehicles. I have Sirius hardwired in every one of my vehicles. I don't have to change channels and look for a station, and we can flip to any genre of music that we want. So another reason I prefer my own vehicle.
And what's so nice, though, with the new vehicles, you can program your phone in there so easily. And what Rick and I do, we do a lot of listening to different motivational speakers when we're driving. And it keeps the conversation going. And coming back from Charleston, we were able to hear quite a few people when we had the internet. That's another thing. We hit some dead spots, no internet. So you want to just be prepared for little things like that, and have your music keyed up in your phone so you don't have to worry about if you lose internet and you can't hear the radio because you're in such a desolate place where nobody goes.
One more thing, if you're planning a road trip, Google that you're planning a road trip, and all the information will come up on how to prepare. There is so much information that you can do. One of the things that was really interesting with Brenda and I on this long road trip is we would check the Food Network.
Oh, yeah.
To find out, where do we want those burgers? Where do we want that pizza? Where's the best barbecue?
Right.
And so if you're planning a road trip, make sure you check out the Food Network, for the state or the city that you're in to find out the best, and then map that out on the entire route. We would stop at every state where we had the best.
Especially in Tennessee, we stopped at the #1 barbecue place.
We travel to eat.
Yeah, and if you like Guy Fieri, make sure you put /D, and any place he is featured on D, you can pick up and find and experience it while you're there. But yeah, listening to motivational stuff, that is probably a better use of the time while you're driving, but I love to dance, and music is my happy place. It just keeps me going. So, I can drive for days. If I'm listening to people talk, unless I'm engaged in the conversation, I have a tendency to start to get tired. So my preference for long trips is music, but we're all different. It just depends on whatever works for you. But I always love driving. Obviously, we used to race cars, love driving. So driving long distances is not a problem for me. But anyway, hopefully this gives everybody some insights. Like I said, vacations are more than just cruises and, flying every place. They can be road trips. They can be glamping, Airbnbs. They can be places that are closer to home. The important thing is that you get out and do something and get away from the rat race, unplug from work. You got to do that for your health, for your sanity. do something, and get out there. But Surge 365 definitely has all the tools and the apps that can help you with that. So that will conclude our conversation for tonight. We are your most trusted travel team. So if you have any questions or any of this interests you, please get back to whoever invited you to this, and we will catch up with you next time. Have a great evening.